Hi Quilty friends, it's Martha at Be Quilting. And this video is going to be a basic video on how to use the Corner Pop ruler, okay, by Tucker. The Corner Pop ruler replaces corners on any square or rectangular piece of fabric. It's wonderful because, as most Tucker rulers are, it's a second chance ruler. You actually cut pieces bigger so that you can trim them down to the exact size that you want to put into your quilt. Okay, so we're going to pretend that we're going to make this center section on this pattern, the part that's G and H, okay? Just that center section, nothing more, okay? Most of you would recognize that as what some people call a snowball, so that it gives the illusion of being sort of a rounded, even though there's nothing round about it, but you're taking the corners off of something. Okay, so we're going to take the corners off of this square piece of fabric and replace it with these lighter color corners. Okay, now what you need to do is look at your pattern if you want to use the corner pop. And what I need to know is what size is H. And H is 4.5 inches. So this is my 4.5 inch square. That remains exactly the same. You cut the piece that is your base piece the same size as what the pattern tells you to cut it. Now, G, these four little corners, it tells me to cut 4 2.5 inch squares, okay, to replace these corners. Instead of doing that, I'm going to look at the chart that comes with the Corner Pop ruler. And I'm going to look here and it says published size for folded corner. And our published size for the folded corner is 2.5 inches. So I'm going to go across here to 2.5, right there. And then I'm going to go down to where it says replacement triangle square size, and it's 3.25. So I have cut these 3.25. Now notice that the pattern told us to cut 4, but I only need to cut half that amount because I'm going to cut these on the diagonal and put one of those triangles on each corner instead of using a whole square on each corner like you normally do when you replace a corner. Okay, so I only need half as many. So I've cut two 3.25 inch squares. Okay, the other measurement I need to notice is corner trim down line and the cutaway line, and they're always the same measurement. So I need to remember 2, okay, 2 inches. Those are the lines that I'm going to use on the Corner Pop ruler. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is cut my littler squares in half on the diagonal so that I have 4 of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? All right. Now, instead of, with the normal way of doing it, here's a 2.5 inch square, I would have drawn a diagonal line, I would put it on here and sewn on that line, cut away a 1/4 inch seam, folded this back, and believe me, it was going to be a little short or a little long or a little crooked or a little, and I'm going to eliminate those problems. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is I need to use the trim down, the corner trim down, okay? If you look at this ruler, first of all, always be sure you can read the words so that you know that you have it right side up, not upside down, okay? And I've put Invisigrip on the wrong side, so I want to be able to use that as well. Now there's 2 sections to this ruler. Here it tells you this is the area I'm going to use to cut away the corners, and this is the corner trim down. That we will use at the very end after we've sewn these on and we're ready to trim them up. Okay, so we're going to use the corner, the cutaway for the corners, because I'm going to cut off the corner. I'm just going to do one at a time. I'm going to cut off the corner on here. There's 2 sections. This is to trim away whole and half numbers. This is to trim away 1/4 and 3/4 numbers. Remember, the number we're remembering is 2. So I'm going to use this line to trim away the corner on my piece. Okay, and I'm just going to line up the 2. You always use See, there's a center line here. You always use that line. It's this line that varies, and that's the 2 that I want. So I'm going to put that line that I told you we always use along one side of the corner and the 2 along the other side of the corner. And I'm going to trim this away. Okay? Now that I don't use. Now I'm going to take one of my triangles and I'm going to put them right sides together, and I want it in the middle, but not so much that I have to actually find the middles. I just want to see that I have about the same amount on each side, because I'm going to trim this away later. Okay, so now it's important that I keep the raw edges together and that I sew at a nice straight 1/4 inch seam. The other thing is, be aware that now this is a bias edge, so it will stretch, so you don't want to overhandle it and you don't want to pull on it at all while we're sewing. So I really would like to sew with that down so that the feed dog helps to keep it moving. I'm going to sew with that edge down. Get my thread. And don't bother to back stitch because you're going to trim this up. Okay? Make sure my raw edges are together, and I'm going to sew. Okay, so now I've sewn a 1/4 inch seam, okay, and I'm again going to press this open. I may decide later to press it one way or the other, but right now I'm going to press it open because it's easier for me to use the ruler if this is pressed open. Okay, and I'm going to press from both sides to be sure I don't have any folds, that everything's laying flat. Because if I have a fold here and I trim this up and then I discover the fold and I press it, it distorts the size of my square. Okay, do you see that this is a little bit bigger? So now I'm going to use this corner to trim this down. Okay, and what I'm going to do, again, remember 2 was the number we were remembering. I'm going to put that line that says 2 right on my seam line, and then I'm going to match up the edges of my ruler with the edges of my original square. Okay, and again, take the time to fuss with this a little bit and make sure that this is lined up and my edges are lined up. Okay, and you can see here I'm fitting nicely into this square as well. And now all I'm going to do is trim this off. And again, my nemesis across the top. And now I still have a perfect, what was this, 4.5 inch square. Okay? Cool. Should we trim one more? Let's do one more. Okay, remember we're going to use the 2, so I need the whole numbers. And I'm going to replace this corner. I'm going to put the line that we always use here and the 2 line down here so that I trim this corner off. I'm going to sew one of these on here. And I want it pretty even, so I need to move this over. That looks pretty good. And now I'm going to sew it at a 1/4 inch. The edge is nice and together. I'm going to press this open. Always check from the other side. And now trim. And remember, trimming is this and I put the 2 mark, because that's what the chart told me, on my line there, and the edges of my original block here, and then trim. Now I've replaced 2 corners. If I want to replace all 4, then I would do the same thing here. I would now trim this corner off using the 2. And as you see, I would be approaching, trimming off a little bit of my other 2 corners. That's okay. Now just continue to go around.
Wow.
Okay, it's really easy. If you have trouble, stop by the shop. We'll be glad to help you. We sell these in the shop as well. It's a great tool, an absolutely great tool. The only thing is you need to recognize in your pattern before you start that you want to use it, because you have to cut your squares, your smaller squares, a different size. So stop by and say hello, and if you're having trouble, we'll be glad to help you.